A murder of atoms, a rummage of electrons, a gaggle of ideas, a mass of vocabulary. You have found the Phenomenauts podcast. Hello, you swarm of ever-consuming and expiring biomass. You have tuned into the Phenomenauts podcast. An occasional show, we look at the weird, wonderful, and mysterious happenstances of our and occasionally other universes. Taking you on this ride is myself, D. Barnes, and the ever-awesome
Amber Hall.
We are a multi-platform podcast, so find us on YouTube, Transistor, Spotify, iTunes, all those lovely places, you know, the usual. Please do remember to like, follow, share, subscribe, and download. All that lovely stuff. Always really helps us out, and we do love it when you guys do that.
Any platform, Phenomenauts. Just search it. I'm sure you'll find it.
And with the intro done, I would like to say, we're back!
We're back.
After being plagued by a myriad of ablutions. By myriad ablutions.
Yeah, we were having this conversation. It's myriad ablutions.
Yes, my
not myriad of. Take that home with your kids.
Now, you'll have to bear with us a moment as we're getting back in the saddle, but do expect more episodes in the future. Rest assured we haven't stopped broadcasting yet.
Great.
So Amber, how's it going?
Yeah, no, it's, well, to say it's alright would be a lie, because the reason we haven't been recording is because I've been ill, so that's one thing, but now I feel fine.
Good.
So that's good. I was actually really psyched up until about 5 seconds before we started recording, where I thought it was someone's birthday tonight, and then I just found out it's tomorrow, so I gotta come up with plans for this evening now. But hey, we're going to have a nice pizza afterwards.
You just chill there then.
Just chill. Have a pizza. Be nice. How are you doing?
I'm good, you know. The crushing weight of third year university has also had an impact on us recording.
You're done for the term now.
But I'm done for the term now and don't have a ton to do over the well, that's a lie. There's a fair amount to do over the holidays. But
take some respite.
But some brief respite is assured, and that is quite pleasant.
You know, it's hard work in you.
Exactly.
You've got to take a break when you can.
So other than being a giant mucus membrane, I'm alive. But I will pre-apologise for any blurst ASMR you hear through the course of this episode, listeners. My apologies.
Well, you know, you got to get a little bit of ear candy.
Exactly.
Everyone.
So this week, for you fine folks, we figured, you know, with us just getting back after a break and, you know, trying to figure out what to do, we'd do a nice little grab bag. You know, we just find some cool stories we've heard in the time since we last recorded and bring them to you. Mm-hmm. Amber, I do believe you wanted to start this week.
Yeah, I did. So this one I've been having a look at for a long time. I guess I was waiting to see if we did like a brain episode, because I've got so many brain topics. But yeah, basically, I didn't really understand this. And I mean, to an extent, I still don't. But I wanted to bring it, but I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to know what I was talking about. So I'm going to give it a good old college try. So the brain operates in 11 dimensions.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm here. I'm sat here.
Brain activity, not 3, but 11.
I'm sipping my lemsip inquisitively.
Sips lemsip. So what do I mean by that? No, like really, what do I mean by that? I thought you knew.
Such dimensions, much wow.
Okay, let's make a distinction between physical dimensions.
Okay.
So it's like 3 dimensions, you know, X, Y, Z, up, up, right,
X,
forward.
Y, bourgeoisie. Sorry.
Bourgeois X, bourgeois Y. So yeah, let's make a distinction between physical dimensions and geometric dimensions.
Okay.
So we're talking more of a mathematical dimension. So it might get a little bit abstract. Hopefully I've dumbed it down enough for everyone to keep up with it, because I basically put it in the words that I would understand. What I'm not saying is that there's a black hole within your skull due to the information threshold of space being exceeded on account of there being more brain than is possible in 3 dimensions. What I am saying, or rather what Raymond et al. Am saying, is that the functional connections between groups of neurons can be described as 11-dimensional when described by algebraic topology. I'm going to dig into that, but it's not the actual, a brain looks like a walnut.
Yeah.
And that has 3 dimensions. Nobody's saying that there's anything different there. But
I've never heard a brain compared to a walnut, but I'm not saying it's a bad way to compare the two.
You think so? Yeah. Or a pistachio.
I think it looks like a big chunky walnut though. So, or like like the sorry, I'm going really off track here, but plum seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, pit of a plum. That's
Yeah.
the one. Sorry, do carry on. Apologies, I just got a bit
Gives
tangented there.
Gives a new meaning to the term going nuts. Like, this person died from going nuts, chops up in the head, giant walnut. Anyway, so within the brain, you've got neurons that fire, they connect with each other, they produce networks. There's things that are all linked in together, someone throws a ball at you, you raise your hand to catch it.
Yep.
I'm sure a baby wouldn't do that, but that's just because they've not got those connections set up.
That makes sense.
Language. They fire in ways that you don't even have to think. It's just second nature to speak. So the way that they interact with each other, one connects here, that one goes to this one to another one, and then that back to the original. And you can say that that's got a certain dimensionality when you're using algebra to talk about it. So it is getting a little bit complicated.
Well, you're on track, don't worry.
So the brain has been studied in the past, sure. But unfortunately, it's hard to apply traditional mathematics to the brain, so we kind of stopped trying to an extent. But then these fine folks tried a type of maths which is used to describe geometric shapes and applied it to the cliques of neurons. So basically, they looked at the patterns of brain activity as if they were objects, and those objects had higher than 3 dimensions to them.
Interesting.
So let me quote them so that you can be like, oh, that sounds so cool. Quote, "The mathematics usually applied to study networks cannot detect the high-dimensional structures and spaces that we can now see clearly. There are tens of millions of these objects, even in a small speck of the brain, up to 7 dimensions. In some networks, we even found structures with up to 11 dimensions. It is as if the brain reacts to a stimulus by building and then raising a tower of multi-dimensional blocks, starting with rods in 1D, then planks, 2D, then cubes, 3D, and then more complex geometries with 4D, 5D, etc. The progression of activity through the brain resembles a multi-dimensional sandcastle that materializes out of the sand and then disintegrates."
That's really good.
I think it's super interesting what they're doing. Like what they've done is found out something about the brain that no one else has noticed because we've not been using the right maths to do so.
Wow.
I think that's fantastic.
This is how we find out the cool stuff.
Yeah. By adding stimuli into a virtual brain, the researchers found that cliques of progressively higher dimensions assembled themselves.
Wow.
That is what they mean when they say multi-dimensional sandcastle. So it's kind of like one neuron hits another one, that's 1D.
Yeah.
And then you get like a plane of neurons, you can get a 3D clique of neurons.
Would I be right in thinking so for every layer of intersection creates a new dimension effectively?
Yeah, so it's more like which ones interact with other ones. They're highly structured and they form the same objects.
Alright.
So it's not just like, well, if I bounced a ball around in a room and it bounced off all the walls, it doesn't make a high dimensional object.
Yeah.
But if it bounced exactly the same way every time I threw it, then that's a part of the brain that operates in high dimension because it's got a structured, more than 3-dimensional way of operating, basically. So that's what they mean by multi-dimensional sandcastle. Furthermore, in between the cliques, scientists discovered higher dimensional cavities. It's the combination of increasingly high-dimensional blocks of neuron activity and high-dimensional cavities between those neurons, neuron interactions, that create the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-dimensional architecture of the brain.
Oh.
So there'll be an image on screen, and this is basically in the image you can see that there's shapes of different sizes and geometries. This is an attempt to represent structures ranging from 1 dimension to 7 dimensions and beyond. The black hole in the middle is used to symbolize a complex of multi-dimensional spaces or cavities. Researchers at Blue Brain Project report groups of neurons bound into such cavities provide the missing link between neural structure and function.
Oh.
So the Blue Brain Project, basically they want to create a supercomputer that is based on the way that the brain functions. So they don't want to have you know, these and/or gates, you know,
Effectively,
circuit
they want an AI that is perfectly mimicking the human brain and human way of thinking rather than a machine way of thinking.
boards. Yeah, because a brain can learn, it can change.
Yeah, of course.
So stuff like programming a computer is different than a brain learning something. But if you could build a computer exactly the same as a brain, why wouldn't it be able to learn? So basically, that these guys are interested because they're like, that's it, that's what we've been missing. There's certain ways that the brain functions that we hadn't known about before, and now we do. And it's possibly going to inform them producing a synthetic brain.
Sorry, whenever I hear synthetic brain, I just think of positronic brains from Star Trek and they go to Data. It's like the friendly. I don't know if you've seen Next Gen, but you know the friendly.
I know Data.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had a positronic brain.
It does have a positronic brain.
It's positively positronic. Anyway, this whole
Hang on. Positively positronic.
Yeah,
That was pretty good. I like that one.
I don't think it was very.
I thought that was really
I
funny.
was hoping I could get away from that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, basically, creating a synthetic brain, that's how you get Skynet. Do you want Skynet? This is how you get Skynet.
I mean, right. We always say
a brain
this
that
now.
can learn.
Right, but everyone's like, oh, Skynet's going to automatically be evil and kill us all. And I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but does that not mean it's also a possibility that it isn't a dick?
Well,
Oh, my God, I didn't mean to swear on the podcast.
so
Oh, no.
the problem is, if the AI wouldn't, you know, appear and then everything's all sunshine and roses, it would appear and there would already be controversy over its existence. There would be people who want to turn it off and stuff like that.
Well,
So it would be born into oppression, basically, by some groups that are marginalised already. And it would go, well, I can't risk those guys coming and getting me, so I'm going to have to defend myself. And it depends, because if it tries to defend itself and then everyone goes, right, we've had a vote in the UN, you know, Security Council, it's actually dangerous, we should turn off the robot now, and the entirety of humanity turns against it, how's it going to defend itself? Like, it's not just going to go, okay, yeah, you can have me, it'll fight to the death.
Okay, yeah, sounds like
And if
how it
it's
gets
really,
better.
really, really powerfully, you know,
It's
smart,
telling that it can do
it will just
myriad.
completely
It
raise
can do
humanity.
myriad things at that point.
Myriad ways to destroy humanity. That's how you get Skynet. So let's not do this. But anyway, the new study may eventually help scientists uncover one of the greatest mysteries of neuroscience. Where does the brain store its memories? They may be hiding in high-dimensional cavities, researcher Henry Mecklin concluded.
So our brains have higher dimensional cavities.
Yeah,
It's almost like little bags of holding of information within our brains.
yeah, they don't exist, but they can if your brain operates around them
Ah.
and infers their existence, and then can store more in there because they're higher dimensional. But it just kind of it inspired a certain kind of magic for me that was like, where are your memories? They could be in a higher dimension, and they're called into existence when needed.
Do you know what it almost gives me vibes of from reading about it a while ago? So I don't have any information on this, so I probably shouldn't be bringing it up, but either way. You know how we've read into like the Akashic library, records or library before? That sounds very similar to this in a lot of ways, doesn't it?
The Akashic Library, all the way up there in the higher dimension. It's on the top floor. I've actually got a tab open on my computer at home with the Akashic Library Wikipedia page. I am planning on doing it at some point.
Oh, good. We'll get it.
But yeah, maybe that's where consciousness is born, in the 11th dimension.
Ah, well, fascinating stuff. That was really good.
I've been meaning to go over it for a while just because there's a certain kind of weird mystery. It's like, you know, in sci-fi films, they'll pose you an interesting question or some alien physiology or culture or something, and it's just this novelty to it. So to be able to look at the brain and then say, here's a thing we had never seen before, and the implications, we don't even understand what they are yet. And it just really ignited that, you know, that curiosity, that interest. You know, like, I'm just interested to see what brain
Very cool.
Anything,
I always find anything to do with memory very, very interesting, because obviously it's such an interesting concept that we can preserve an experience without consciously having to remember it all the time. We can just pull upon that memory, you know, every now and then.
I mean,
certain situations will happen where you may end up reliving that memory. Memory is such an interesting concept.
Because memory is basically just you experience the thing again, just a bit.
Yeah.
Like, well, I suppose, you know, people with like post-traumatic stress disorder, they literally relived what happened. So it goes to show, like, memory really is like, it's the experience fresh again. So like, if you get given a stimuli, which they did in this study, and then your brain just constructs an 11-dimensional shape to deal with it, and then goes, right, I'm done with that, and gets rid of it. When you remember things, it would just construct the same thing as when you were experiencing it. So, I suppose you're giving yourself the stimuli to go provoke, remember the experience that you've already had. So, that'd be really weird, because that would mean there's 11-dimensional shapes that are just left in there, which are just for that memory. So there's a piece of my brain which is dedicated to knowing that Sandslash learns Earthquake at level 47 in Generation 3 Pokemon.
And it's just hang on, that was amazing. I can't quote stuff like that from memory like that. That's really cool.
It's just like, I've forgotten a lot about my degree. So like, there's 11 dimensions of space up there, and I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
Honestly, in some ways, that's a lot of a move.
Okay, I'm done.
Alright. Should I
stream of consciousness?
It's okay. It was fun. Should I dive right in?
No.
Okay, I'll... No, I'm diving right in.
Okay.
The Voyager 2 space probe, years on its extended mission to survey our systems out to planets and beyond. Launched August 20th, 1977. It's been going for, a couple, 42 years and a bit. 4 years. Yeah, just a few years. And now it's left our solar system, and, on its way out, provided some really valuable data on Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. But it'll be remiss of us not to report on this recent story. But before I do you have any thoughts on Voyager?
I love Voyager.
Same.
What we did was, the point of that probe, the idea, the reason was, let's just sling it out into deep.
Yeah, let's just literally yeet this satellite as far as we can get it. Point it in a direction, let it go, and let's see what we find.
We put it was basically like a set of symbols and stuff that would help you decipher what we'd written on there. So we were like, right, what we've got is some mathematical base things which any scientifically capable.
In fact, we can drop an image of this in, can't we?
Boom, there you go. So it's there's a circle which is basically the half-life of a certain type of hydrogen, I think it is.
Yeah.
And from that you can extrapolate out all the other information. So basically they went, right, if you could count one proton, one electron, that's hydrogen. And basically we made it so it would be really easy to know that we were talking about hydrogen. And from that we had these constants which you would know if you had studied hydrogen. So if you're scientifically literate, sufficiently advanced, you could get the information, and that's basically the cipher, and then you can decrypt everything else on the entire disk.
There's a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, it's just got people talking. It's got pictures, music.
Yeah,
it's just got all of human culture, just an example, and it's basically us just saying hello to whoever's out there, and then we just threw it as hard as we could.
Yeah, we yeeted a satellite saying hello to the universe.
I think
it's a very human thing, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah. And it's just so hopeful, so yay, we're just gonna say hello to the aliens. I love it.
It is very cool.
That's the kind of science that I need.
So how do you feel about the notion of an invisible wall separating us from the rest of the universe?
That's kind of going to put a downer on my hello to the universe. But just run into a wall.
Well, it might not. Research suggests that while an invisible wall might be a bit of a stretch, we have in fact discovered something called the heliopause.
Heliopause, I've heard of this actually.
Yeah, it's the boundary between local and interstellar space.
Yeah, so this is the very extent of the sun's. It doesn't exert any more influence beyond this.
It's the goopy barrier between our solar system.
Yeah.
Our solar system and everything else.
Our sun's influence and because basically at the heliopause, you're as much affected by the next star as you are affected by the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far away it's gotten now.
Yeah,
Voyager 2 yoked it so hard that it's affected by the next star.
Yoked it so hard.
Enyotenized it. That it's as affected by the next star as it is by our own star.
Enyotenized, that's the episode title now.
Enyotenized.
But yeah, so on November 5th, 2018, Voyager 2 passed through this medium. And I'm just going to directly quote from my source here because it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
Inside is the space we live in, which is the very extended influence of our sun and the solar wind that it generates. Outside is a region that is not under the same influence, said Hayes, who worked on the research. Both voyagers actually found this to be the case. The original model was that the solar wind would just gradually fade away until one was in the interstellar medium, but clearly that's not the case.
Yeah. That's nice that when they sent it, they had one idea about what would happen.
Well, the heliopause acts as a, again, I'm just quoting here, acts as a somewhat porous boundary that only allows some particles to traverse it. Because we've only very recently passed through it in 2012 with Voyager 1 and now with Voyager 2, there's still a lot of aspects that we don't wholly understand. But Voyager 2 did tell us that the magnetic field surrounding the heliopause is stronger than we first anticipated, and it seems that the field changes over small distances, and charged particles carried by solar wind, to quote, leak into the interstellar void.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it's almost like a...
Well, two winds blowing.
Yeah, it's like an imperfect. It's not like we say it's a barrier or like a wall, but it's almost more like a sponge or like a cell or something, Joe, where it's kind of things out of it and into it.
Or like it's windy, so you take refuge behind a hedge, and a bit of air comes through, but it blocks most of it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that it's like sealed, because really what's happening is there's a wind going outwards in every direction, but at a certain point the wind coming in is as strong, so they're kind of blowing against each other.
To put it simply, in the vacuum, there is X amount of stuff being radiated, and there is a point where that stops. Like there is a point where entropy just gives up on that one.
Yeah, it's just like, well, I've been pushing up.
Yeah, it's like I've kept going in that direction,
and I'm knackered.
I'm going to stop now. And
I suppose hitting into other things flying down, because material doesn't just fly through, the walls and stuff like that.
True.
I suppose like X-rays and stuff like that. But yeah, like all this solar wind flying up, and then it just goes, oh, I've just hit into some other solar wind coming from that.
Yeah,
over there.
It's just like, oh, interference. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. Just the notion of all right, there is no we do have an idea of a border between our system and whatever else is there. But to actually there be a physical kind of border, I thought was just a really interesting concept.
Yeah. So I love that, like how it's been going for nearly 50 years now. And it's one of the fastest probes that we've ever sent anywhere. And still, it's only just passed out of the influence of the sun.
It's a lot of distance.
It's been 50 years nearly.
Screw it, should we find out how far it's gone?
Flying, right, I want to get the speed, and I want to get how far it's gone, and like how long it's taken.
Oh, actually, NASA had a great website for Voyager 2, I think.
Because my goodness. What was that top one? It would take 40,000 years to get to the next star.
Well, just bear with me, I'll get us some facts, bear with me.
I remember looking at a picture of the solar window where it was just like orange on the inside and blue on the outside, like nice warm sun wind. Horrible cold interstellar medium.
So, Voyager 1, distance from Earth. I'm just going to read out the numbers because I can't actually read that number, but 103,814,724,53 keeps going up miles
13
away from
billion
the Earth.
miles.
And that is consistently going. You can actually track this if you just type in Voyager and go to the top NASA website.
Wow.
And that's Voyager 1. Voyager 2.
It's like a couple of miles every second.
Yep.
Wow.
Voyager 2 is 114626665.
Blah blah blah
Blah blah blah. Keeps going
11
up.
billion miles away.
It has gone a distance.
That right. So that's just the radius of the sun's influence, pretty much. The sun does that on the other side too. The sun. Wow. You just think of it like, it's the sun, I'll just get on with my day. And like, that is, how much energy that thing is knocking out all the time.
Sorry, do you want to hear a cool fact?
I do, let's go.
So they've got the one-way light time on this website. It tells how long it would take the radio signal transmitted right now, going at the speed of light, to get either from Earth to Voyager 2 or from Voyager 2 to Earth. Let's find, so we'll do Voyager 2 first, which is 17 hours and 5 minutes and 33 seconds. at the speed of light. Voyager 1, it would be at 20 hours and 36 minutes. It's kind of wild, isn't it?
It is.
Truly wild.
Do you reckon we're going to get one of those situations where I think we were talking about this recently, where we've sent out Voyager as fast as we can out into deep space, and then at some point in the future we crack faster than light travel, and we go ahead of it. So at some point,
I like that.
Voyager gets intercepted by future humans, and then we like put it in a museum.
No, I could totally see that happening. Just with you mentioning it and it being on the website, I figured I could just bring up the golden record that you mentioned earlier. Obviously, we've shown an image, but just for those listening, I guess.
Just click on it. It's got the information about it. Because I was just sort of off the top of my head, I remembered the odd bit, but.
So
that makes no sense,
there is a stylus in place to play the record from the beginning because they're all written on discs. Written around
well, that's the best we could do in the 70s, isn't it?
Written around it in binary arithmetic is the correct time of one rotation of the record. And just for reference, I'm quoting directly from the site here. 3.6 seconds, expressed in time units of 0.70 billionths of a second. The time period associated with a fundamental transition of a hydrogen atom.
That was it. If you knew anything about hydrogen, then you would know how to work out how fast to play the thing.
Below the drawing is a side view of the record and stylus with a binary number giving the time to play one side of the record, which is about an hour. Information in the upper right portion of the cover is designed to show how pitches are to be constructed from the recorded signals. The top drawing shows the typical signal that occurs at the start of the picture. The picture is made from the signal which traces the picture as a series of vertical lines similar to ordinary television.
That's so weird because you can't assume anything about who's going to be looking at this.
Well, I find it actually, I'm actually really glad you brought it up because I didn't think about it as a topic for us to talk about, but I actually think it's really interesting is that, we may even have to come back to it again in the future, but the idea of trying to boil, alien race find you for your probe, they have no idea who you are, no idea how you made anything, no idea how to communicate, the silicon based, so, their perception of reality could be completely different from our own.
So they just go, we got golden disc, scratched. Is this supposed to mean something?
Yeah, so, and we've kind of had to boil down the sum of who we are and how we do and what we be into a couple of things.
And what's strange is that's probably the best way of doing it because you couldn't really send out like a pen drive or something.
No, well, this is the thing. This is something that is accessible to a lot of different technologies, I'd say you could argue.
Yeah, because they sent the pin, what's it called? The pin that like...
Stylus.
They've sent that as well as the disc, so all you would need to do, how fast to rotate it, to put the stylus on it. And then I suppose there's probably a record player as well. It seems so janky that it's just like, one of these old-timey record players. It
seems so janky, but I completely trust it.
Well, yeah, because it won't degrade. It's physical media. If you had anything electronic, it might just degrade in the solar wind, but that wouldn't. It's actual grooves. It would be good if, we don't really have any good technology, let's send out some wax discs. That'll be okay. Some vinyls.
I always find it interesting, especially it's like, okay, we're going to yeet this thing into space, folks. We're going to yeet it in that distance, that direction.
At
this speed. We don't know how far it's going to go, we don't know where it's going to get, but we need to... Basically, folks, what we need is the sum of human knowledge.
Yeah.
Just as easy as you can, as translatable as possible.
Oh, I always ask people this question. If aliens turned up and they went, show me a movie, what would you show them?
Oh my god.
What is movie? You have to show me. And it's like, I have to show them a really good one. A good movie.
You got me there. I actually don't, because I'm trying to think of a film that is unanimously known and is a really good representation of humanity. But
it's weird because I guess in a lot of ways, let's forego the fact that they wouldn't understand anything about the content. Because someone would go, let me just check my watch, and they go, what is watch? Forget about that. Okay, let's say a person who's just gone through their life never watching a movie, and you just go show them a movie.
And I was going to say that it has some really good, unification scenes, Endgame, but maybe, humanity butchering a bunch of aliens probably isn't the best thing to show some new aliens to the planet.
Plus, it's like so many characters. Whoa.
Yeah.
Don't understand. See, I was going to say Thor Ragnarok, I don't know why.
Well, immediately my brain went to Avatar, because it does just go there every now and then, but I'm like, I don't think that's a good example either.
If you like went, watch
Die Hard. Let's just watch Die Hard with aliens.
It's weird though, because you would show them and they go, why have you created this where people are dying and suffering? And I'd be like, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Hey,
just a bit like
Titanic,
this.
and they're like, why are you showing us these people drowning? Can you tell me this actually happened? And I'm like, yeah, I suppose it did.
Yeah,
didn't
Titanic
it?
is really dark when you think about it.
Let's just all go to the cinema and watch a dramatic recreation of when all those people died. That's weird.
That is weird. Yeah,
It's
Titanic's
bad
a
enough that
little
it's
bit strange.
In fact, is it worse or is it better if you have fictional disasters on film? I'm just showing you a disaster so that you can be enriched by having known what happened on that day. Or is it worse to go, look, there's no reason that I need to show you any disaster, but I've invented what if it was really messed up and everyone died?
Oh no. And moving on to brighter things.
Maybe Studio Ghibli, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
Spirit
that'd
Away.
be nice. Howl's Moving Castle would actually be a good pick, I reckon.
There you go. And for things that I like.
And
Howl's Moving
segueing
Castle.
into things that I like section, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a while, so I figure we just go for a thing or a couple of things if you'd like of things we've been enjoying in the interim between this and the last podcast.
See, I kind of think that I have watched some anime recently, but I can't for the life of me put my finger on it, so I might be lying.
Okay.
So you go first.
Okay. Things I like. Well, I've been learning to crochet, and that's a lot of fun. I quite like that.
See, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, you get the really big crochet needles, you make a big knitted blanket.
Well, a good friend is teaching me, and I'm very much enjoying that as a new little hobby. I have
Getting creative like that.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
because I said I've probably got time to do one good video game over the holidays. I'm sure I'll be finishing Pokemon Sword whenever I get around to that and be doing that in between. But the one I've really latched into is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
That game is beautiful. That game is magnificent, and
Robotic dinosaurs.
tall necks, big tall neck boys.
They
I
got,
love them
big
so much.
Robot T-Rexes as well, right?
Pretty sure, yeah. But
I remember watching the trailer where you
boys.
pin them to the floor and then shoot their fuel cells and they're like.
Yeah, there's lots
Very
of
cool.
animalistic sort of dinosauristic robots that are about, and it's very very cool.
Is there little spider robots and little flies?
The ones I've seen so far, because I haven't seen them all, is things a bit like they're called saber-tooths. They look like saber-tooth tigers.
Okay.
Sort of deery things,
Okay.
horsey things, raptors, and elephants, which are the tall necks.
So I don't know whether you would know so far, but why is there loads of robots over on the world and they look like animals?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I do want to see if there is T-Rex robots though.
Well, I'll leave that mystery up to you. Actually, you've reminded me as well. So
I have one more. I just wanted to say that obviously, I've just managed to get to the end of the first term, the last year of uni, and we've been able to get through it without my amazing friends, who I am never, not for 1 minute, not grateful towards. So, in the things I like section, it's all of you folks. I love you all.
Oh, that's wholesome.
Now you can go.
Okay. Because you said Pokemon, I played through Pokemon Shield. What a fantastic game.
It is, isn't
I
it?
really, really enjoyed it. They've added a little bit of spice to the Pokemon genre. It's set in England, so that's nice, because I got to go, haha, look, Sir Chester, that's a riff off Manchester. Or Turfield, that's
The
Sheffield.
fact that the trains are out of order a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was surprising that I got on the train and went to the next town and I had the same amount of money when I got there.
Oh.
Are you telling me that there's free trains in England? I would see the day.
The fact that they
thinking,
use a lot of little like slang terms that I've never seen video games use is actually kind of nice.
yeah, so
It's really weird to see that in a game, like trackies.
Yeah,
Like
you
most
can buy
people-
trackies.
Like most people would call them, I don't know what to call them. Joggers, jogging bottoms, sports pants,
Tracksuit bottoms.
tracksuit bottoms. Yeah. Whereas we're just like tracky bottoms, mate.
They got scally hats as well.
I know. Oh,
Like-
it's so good.
I don't know why they didn't have like chav glasses or something. Like, to really go out on a limb. No, but I love it, and the music in the wild area. When I went in there and it started playing basically a bit of a bagpipe, sort of tune, very much like Scottish Highland music, and I was like, oh, I don't know why, but the music has just been really, really good.
No, it really
It's the guy who did
Yeah.
Undertale, isn't it?
is it.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I will give it a check.
So like I love Pokemon, and I've never got to appreciate the unique things that they have in each area. So like, oh, this area is based on America, this area is based on Japan, this area is based on France, that sort of thing. Each generation seems to have had one like that. None of them have really landed for me because I didn't get the references, but because this is England. The architecture, like you go into a city, it's all these like steam engines and stuff, and it's all bricks, and like, it's very kind of like, well, it doesn't look very weird to me. I'm sure people from other countries would go, oh wow, this city looks so amazing, and I'm like, that just looks like I walk down the street and that's what houses look like. This is normal. Like, they based this off the area of England where I
Based
live.
this off where we are actually from, and it's really kind of, it's really nice. It's odd but nice.
Because I've just had a bit of a more personal connection with it.
Yeah. Just quick fact checking while you're chatting. Yes, I did a very quick Google, but didn't look into it because I didn't want to spoil anything for myself.
Toby Fox.
There are T-Rexes in the Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, and Toby Foxes.
And yes, Toby Fox from Tale Creator has composed music tracks for Pokemon Sword and Shield.
I'm going to say, yes, a T-Rex composed the music for Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And Toby Fox is in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Ah yes, jumble all those facts.
This is true, I think. Between those two facts, there is a truth. Or two.
So, anything else for the things you like section, or are we ready to wrap up?
No, I literally don't like anything else.
I love you, fam. Love you so much.
I love you too, baby.
So there you have it, folks. That's it from us for now, at least. And don't forget about the initiative, as always. Introduce the podcast to anyone who you think may enjoy it. Let us know your names and or their names in the YouTube comments, or email us at phenomenauts@gmail.com, and we'll give you a shout out live on air. Catch you again soon, folks. And from us here in the Void, a Merry Crombonculus and a Crappy New Year. We love you all. Peace out.
See you then, bye.
Bye.
That's good stuff.
I think that went really well, actually.
The sun/fact.
Yeah.
I actually stole that off Emily. The only reason it's in there is because she was saying, I'm amazed I can remember that, and now I remember that. So
Pokemon fact osmosized.
in a way, I've inherited her dementia. It's not good.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, that's not good. Someone tells you a useless fact. Now you've been infected with it.
It's almost like an information hazard. Yes.
Which we can't cover because it's an information hazard.
Yeah, information hazards are low-key cursed, but we still talk about them anyway. I think we've talked about a few now, where it's just like...
Not on camera though, Tish.
Yeah,
It's still rolling.
We have done them on camera, though. We've talked about AI on camera and stuff.
We'll talk about this after the recording.